What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is a new 34-inch ultra-wide from Kooroo that we're going to take a look at today for productivity, coding and of course some gaming. We'll cover the specs, the design, settings, and I'll give my overall opinion at the end of what I think of the display. So in advance, thanks for clicking the video and I hope that you enjoy it. On the box we get some simple instructions of how you can put the stand together and mount the monitor. Here is the energy rating and display size with the resolution of the screen, and finally the actual monitor model number. Inside the box we get a DisplayPort cable, the power lead which does have a power adapter brick annoyingly as it's not built into the display, instructions and some adapter for the VESA mounting. Then we get the two pieces that make up the stand and another quick start guide on how to put it all together and get going. The stand is one of those easy to set up stands. No tools required, just simply slot the top in and tighten the screw underneath to secure the mount, and it's easy enough to mount the monitor on your own. Top first, then clip the bottom in and you're good to go. The mount has some decent adjustability, allowing the height to be adjusted, but there is no lateral movement, so you can't tilt it left or right, but you can tilt it up or down, which is plenty of adjustability in my opinion. A quick look at the back of the screen. It has a minimal design with some slight branding, a red strip for some contrast, and a nice design with the lines here. These are the adapters that you'll need when VESA mounting this screen, as the screw holes are sunk inside the monitor, so you will need these if putting it on an arm like myself. The red strip doesn't appear to be a light, it's just a piece of rubber, but again it adds a nice little bit of contrast and it's a bit of a nod to this being a gaming display. One downside here however is there are no available USB ports. You get two HDMI ports, a DisplayPort, audio and DC, so there's going to be no USB-C charging here. The stand has a small loop for cable management also, which is nice, and a single button on the back for power and navigating the settings. So let's get this monitor turned on and check out the display for itself. First up, I notice it has great colours, and of course being a 34-inch ultra wide it has that great look to it, especially with the 1000R curve, which is the same curvature as my 49-inch, and I absolutely love it. It is the more aggressive curve, but in my opinion it's the way to go. It wraps around you more, giving a more immersive experience whilst gaming, and then it brings the edges of the screen closer to you for when you're working, to help reduce neck and eye strain. The screen bezels are kind of thick, but pretty much are identical to my other ultra-wides. You get quite a few customization options in the settings. Ability to toggle the FreeSync Premium and adjust your response time. This monitor does allow for up to 165Hz, but we are connected using HDMI, so we are limited to 100Hz refresh rate. You can also choose to show a crosshair with a few different choices, but does anyone actually use this? You can make your usual adjustments here too, with the brightness, contrast, sharpness, etc. for more fine tuning of the display. There are multiple colour options also to aid with this. Input toggling, again there is only 3 ports to connect here, 2 HDMI and a single DisplayPort. Different scenario modes for FPS, RPG, etc. And finally, some volume options, which is funny as there are no inbuilt speakers here. Something to note here is you are going to have to buy an external pair. Whilst this isn't a 4K monitor, it is Quad HD, and as I mentioned earlier, the colours and picture quality is awesome. And this is something I do tend to look for in displays, as I want my gaming experience to be the best it can be, and for me, a better picture quality aids in this experience. We do have to take into consideration that this monitor is only £330, which honestly I think is an absolute bargain for the specs and the display quality that you're getting. Let's move into gaming side of things. So the monitor is capable of 165Hz refresh rate, which is really nice. I am limited to 100Hz here however because I wasn't using a DisplayPort cable at the time. But even at 100Hz, the gameplay is awesome and buttery smooth. The 34-inch is a nice size too. Now I do prefer my 49-inch, but not everyone has space or budget for a screen of that size. So I think the 34-inch ultra-wide is a nice compromise. It feels like a perfect size without feeling too big or too small, but you're still getting the immersive feel with the fact that it is an ultra-wide and because of that 1000R curve. If you haven't used an ultra-wide for story games, then you're missing out. Now, not every game supports this resolution, but there are usually ways around this, and pretty much all the games that I play have or do support this resolution. It's not just story games that look great though. I do prefer playing shooters with bigger screens. It makes the game way more of an enjoyable experience in my opinion, as everything just looks better, and it certainly isn't a disadvantage. If anything, the extra field of view is an advantage in itself. FIFA, or FC24 now, on ultra wides always gets lots of attention. Now it's not quite big enough to allow you to see the full pitch, but it's also not too far from it. This is certainly an advantage, as you'll be able to see a rushing keeper ahead of time. All of the clips so far that I have shown you are on PC, and that's because playing these games on PC allows you to use the full resolution without any weird stretching going on. The biggest downside to playing on consoles is they do not support ultra wide resolutions, which is a shame, as it's just more of an immersive experience when playing. But these two next clips are on the PS5, just to show you what I mean. Now the gameplay itself doesn't look too bad, but the picture quality is actually stretched, and it becomes really apparent when we open up the menu. The entire menu gets stretched, giving it a weird look. Now this might not be an issue for some, the games are playable for sure, but if you're a console only player and do not want to see a stretched picture, then this display isn't for you. Neither are any ultra wides in general. These clips of Spider-Man on the PlayStation 5 versus the PC are a great example of what I'm saying. But I do have to admit, Spider-Man as a game actually looks incredible on this display when playing on PC. It just looks so damn good when you're swinging between the buildings. Let's move on to productivity and work side of things here. The screen size is great for those who might want some extra screen space, such as developers like myself. Here you can see I've got my Xcode running and two decent sized tabs for my VS Code. I run a 49-inch as my main monitor, so it's probably not the fairest comparison, but the 34-inch works, and it's a really good size for productivity work. Now one thing that a lot of people worry about is the text sharp enough to work with, and the answer is yes, and again it's very similar in sharpness and look to that of my 49-inch, which I work on for hours and hours in a single day without any issues. It isn't as crisp or as sharp as an Apple Studio display or even the display on the MacBook, but I've used this screen and my 49-inch for a while now with no issues. But perhaps this does come down to personal opinion and preference, but it certainly isn't blurry and doesn't give me any headaches. The lack of USB ports does mean that this will not be a single cable only setup. You can connect to the display with one cable, but you're also going to have a power adapter to keep your laptop or MacBook charged. If you're just using this for gaming, then this isn't going to be an issue, but you will need a USB hub if you're going to power some external speakers, which remember, you'll need as there are no inbuilt speakers or USB ports. But overall, for £330, this monitor is a bargain. The colours are great. The curve for me is the best that you can get, being the 1000R curve. The 34-inch is a really nice size. It's not overly heavy, so it will work for the majority of monitor arms out there, and it is great for both gaming and work/productivity use. I'll leave all relevant links down in the bio, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Follow me everywhere, and I'll see you next time.